Hey, how's it going? It's Monday, October the 13th, 2008. Happy Columbus Day, by the way. And I wanted to just do a brief summary of the events that I did this past weekend. Now, if you haven't seen any of these videos that I'm getting ready to talk about, you may want to go back and check them out. We'll start out with the Life Tonight on Thursday night. Okay, let me explain to you a little bit about what Life Tonight is. I know I briefly explained on the video for that, but let me just tell you a little bit about that. Okay, Light the Night Walk is an event that benefits the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. As you know, leukemia and lymphoma are two cancers that affect hundreds of thousands of people every year. And the Leukemia Lymphoma Society is an organization. They're nationwide, and they do the Light the Night Walk all over the nation. So I'm pretty sure that they do it in your area, and you may want to check that out. Just go to Google or Yahoo or any of the search engines and just type in a Light the Night Walk, and it'll take you to a website there, and you can find out where the Life Night Walk is held in your area and when it's held. Okay, but it is a national event, so you want to check that out. I'm going to tell you right now, it's been this is my 6th year hosting, and I can't think of a better event to be able to host and donate my services. Yeah, that's right, I donated my services. I didn't get paid to do that, but I didn't get paid monetarily, but you get paid in the satisfaction of knowing that you participated in one of their biggest fundraisers that they have all year, and it really is a good event when you really think about that. Basically, here's how it works. We get there, we set up the equipment, and we set the equipment up while they're doing registration. Then they do about a 15-minute program. Okay, and I didn't record that part because basically I couldn't hold the video camera and record that at the same time. But what we did is I welcomed everybody, and we talked a little bit about how the walk was going to take place. Then a couple people made some speeches, and then after that we had the miracle child come up. That's the child that they picked who has whose cancer's gone into recession. So that's good news there. And then everybody starts to walk, and they usually walk for about 2.5 miles or so. And now while they're out there walking, there are people that stay behind that aren't walking, and I usually just sit there and play music for them while they're doing that. Well, then when everybody comes back from the walk, we start dancing, and we have a good time, and we dance for probably about maybe 30 minutes or so. Okay, and then we wrap things up. Now, of course, they had a lot of food there. They had Domino's Pizza. They also had people there cooking hamburgers and hot dogs, things like that. Of course, all that was free. Also, the radio station I worked for was the media sponsor, and my program director at the radio station asked me if I would mind doing a remote broadcast from there, in addition to what I was doing with my DJ service. I didn't mind doing that. What I did was I just set up my music to play on my computer at the DJ table while I went to the van and did remote breaks. Okay, and we had an intern drive the station van over there. Now, what are remote breaks, in case you're not familiar with the radio? Well, that's basically whenever you're listening to the radio and you hear somebody say, okay, we're going to check in with Joe Schmo. He's out broadcasting live at let's say Statler Toyota or wherever. I'm being facetious, of course, on that. But that's what that is. Whenever you hear them broadcast live, that's what's called a remote break. And I had to do a few of those while I was out there. So it really made things work out well by doing that. Of course, with that, by getting the radio exposure as well, we got so many more people out there. I mean, this was my 6th year hosting it, and I think this year was probably the biggest crowd we've ever had. Okay, now Friday night did a wedding, and that wedding went pretty good. Okay, of course we had a problem at the very beginning. If you haven't seen the video yet, I encourage you to look at that, because if you notice, I had a problem with my lights at the very beginning. Okay, what was the problem with the lights? Well, when I got there, they had one extension cord for me to hook everything up to. And I mean, I've hooked up everything to one extension cord before, but the thing is, I've been able to hook up all my lights and my sound system all to one circuit before, but usually that's at a big banquet hall where the wattage is a lot more stronger. Well, this was at a house, so naturally the wattage on the outlet is going to be a little bit smaller, so you may not be able to power everything, which I quickly found out. I turned on the lights, try and test them out, and it killed my sound system, so that wasn't a good thing. Well, I talked to the mother of the bride, and we were able to run an extension cord to the house next door, because the owner of that particular house owned the houses right around there. If you've seen that video, you'll notice all those houses that were around there, and that's and that guy owns those same houses right around there. And those are all vacation rentals. Those aren't permanent homes or anything like that. And those are for people that come down and want a vacation rental. They can rent those houses out. So we just got an extension cord and ran the lights on a circuit at the house next door, and that worked out good because we were able to get lights. I was really dreading that because I thought, oh my goodness, I took about an hour to set up all these lights, and I won't even be able to use them. But we did end up using them, and that made things work a lot better, and I'm really glad about that. Now, that particular wedding was a little bit different for a couple of reasons. First of all, at this particular wedding, the groom took the bride's name. Okay, so the bride asked me that when I announced them, just to use their first names. Don't use the last name because the groom's family wasn't too happy about that, which I've never heard of that before, and I can kind of see that, if he was taking her name. But not only that, what ended up happening is usually when I do a wedding reception, the way it usually works out is I usually start out playing the oldies music, for the older crowd because they usually leave early, and then usually we have the younger crowd that stay there who want to hear Soldier Boy and all the top 40 stuff, and they usually stay there till late. Well, this particular wedding, it was just the exact opposite. I had all the younger people leaving early, and the older people stayed late. So by the end of the night, I was playing a lot of Elvis and a lot of Eric Clapton and even some 80s music and things like that. But it worked out really well because it kept the dance floor pretty well busy, and they really liked that. And I noticed that this group was more into like slow dancing than they were into fast dancing. So it worked out great, and it went really well. Okay, now the wedding on Saturday. Let me talk a little bit about that. That was held at a church, a small church in Milton, Florida. And basically, the bride and groom got married in the sanctuary, and we had the reception over in the fellowship hall. Really small room, but it was really quaint. That's why I wasn't able to put all my lights up in there because it was just a small room. But the bride and groom were real happy about that because it was very short and sweet and to the point. And once we started the regular dancing, pretty much everybody left. And there were a few people that stayed and danced for a little while, but then everybody left. And really, a lot of the folks had an hour's drive or maybe an hour and a half drive home, and they didn't want to drive home too late. So that's what it was. It wasn't that they weren't enjoying the event. They did have a good time, but it was just that a lot of them were just ready to leave. And of course, it was a church event too, so really not a whole lot of dancing and a lot of big parties or anything like that going on during that. Now today, I got an email from the bride from that particular wedding, and I want to go ahead and read that to you real quick. This is what I got today, and this is what makes it all well worthwhile. I'm telling you, you get an email like this, you're happy, okay? But here's what she says. Stacy, thank you so much for the great job you did at our wedding. I know it was a pretty short reception, but I had many people tell me how nice of a job you did, how professional you were, etc., and I totally agree. We couldn't have chosen a better DJ. You did everything that we asked for. It was a relief to know you were there for us and wanted to do anything we asked of you. I'm sorry for it being so short, but about 90% of our guests traveled an hour or more to be there, and by the end of the night, all of us were so exhausted. Thank you again. I have 2 friends getting married in March sometime, and I will definitely recommend you. Thanks again. And of course, she's got her name there. I'm not going to say her name, but I don't know. When you get an email like that, it really makes you feel good about what we're doing and why we're doing this. So another happy, satisfied bride. Of course, it ended a little early, but hey, the bride was happy, and it seemed like everybody there was happy, so it all works out. A successful reception isn't one that goes until like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. A successful reception is one that makes everybody happy, including the bride and groom most of all. So that's the way you got to look at it. And I have done weddings before where they're just not really into dancing, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a good time. So you see what I'm saying on that? So yeah, if you're ever doing a wedding reception and you get a nice email like that, and just remember that just because not a lot of people are up there dancing and all that stuff doesn't mean it's not a successful reception. If you make the bride and groom happy and you make everybody there happy, yeah, you've done your job. They may just not be into dancing, but you've done your job well. Okay, so that's where we're going to leave this. Coming up this next weekend, I've got a car show that I'm going to be doing on Saturday. So it's going to be a small event. And I'll definitely be taking the camera out there, maybe film some cars while I'm out there. But I'm just going to be going out there and setting up the music, and they're going to use my microphone for the awards ceremony. So that'll be pretty good toward the afternoon hours. Then on the 25th, I do have another wedding, which will be out at the Navy base. And that's going to be a Disney-themed wedding, so that's going to be a fun one. I'll look forward to videotaping that as well. So anyway, it looks like it's going to be a very light weekend this weekend, which is good because I'm still trying to recover after this past weekend. But anyway, if you got any comments, questions, feel free to email me, SNDJENTINC@AOL.com, or just drop a comment right down here. Practice and enjoy.